Doing great. I'm joining from Salt Lake City, and yeah, how's Kansas?
Kansas City, gotta love it. You know what? I'm excited about this. This is our premier event of Optimize and Elevate. And just want to let everybody know not only are we recording this for future access, but we are also live streaming at YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And you can do a search for Mingle and catch us live or catch a recording afterwards. And we certainly appreciate the guests that will be joining us today, the participants that will be joining us today. And we're super excited for this premiere event because we're looking to really optimize and elevate not only in life but in business. And I have a feeling that those work hand in hand. What about you, Jake?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think it's kind of a harmony of things, right? And that's something you have to have in order to your personal life to do well in business. Something you have to do have in order to do well in your personal life is your career success and what you do. John, I want an intro to you, right? I want an intro to you and your background and how you've kind of navigated the world because
You
I
know
think it
what? I'm
lines right up with.
inconsequential, but I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm John Patch I'm the CRO and co-founder of Mingle, which is the platform and application that you all are joining us on today. But I also have Tread for Business Performance, which I am also the founder of and have had for about 15 years now. And I've had the opportunity to see a lot of different trends come and go and technologies come and go. My background has been primarily in technology application and automations. I find excitement in how those technologies really blend into not only life but business, but most importantly, performance. Jake, tell us about you.
Well, I'm very similar. I don't love talking about myself, but I've made a niche career helping small businesses with their go to market. There's nothing more exciting than helping new brands and some established ones, right? Pivot their strategy and find something that works for them. I've worked in the political space, I've worked in manufacturing, and right now helping with getting some of the events on this platform off the ground and some of the team together and ready. We're eager to get Brian up because he has such an exciting background. I've definitely seen a lot of know-how from him on the marketing end. But I think a few more things to kind of go through on this podcast. Just an intro. Probably should give a little bit of background on him and his background with AI.
Yeah, absolutely. And AI is what this topic is about today, and I'm excited to get started on that. But before we do, let's talk about optimize and elevate who we are and what we'd like to achieve in this Minglecast. And I would venture to offer up in improvement and performance and growth, not just in life, but also in business. And when we talk about those things, we talk about the excitement of knowledge. And, uh, you know, if you're not eager to learn, that's great. But I look at a quote from Ben Franklin from this perspective of knowledge. It's not enough to know because knowledge without action is impotent. And that was actually paraphrased by Ben Franklin from another gentleman, Abu Bakr, who was also quoting Socrates. So as we look at knowledge, we have to remember that taking action is probably as important as the learning. So again, what we want to do here at Optimize and Elevate is make sure that the content that we provide, the guests that we are bringing up, are giving opportunity to not only have, perspective and different perspectives, but also how we can apply them. So it's about knowledge, it's about applying that knowledge and the different mindsets and perspectives that we bring to the table here at Optimize and Elevate. Anything to add to that?
Well said. Well, I think what you said, reading between the lines, is a lot of things echo from very similar sources, and I think as we get guests on, even though we're talking about something new in the tech world, we're going to see a lot of similar lessons with subsequent guests going forward, and I'm excited to see that reflection here in the AI side. Right, something that I'm eager to ask Brian about is kind of what he's done to craft the personas in his companies, AI CMO, AI CRO, right? These professionals he has. And so I think there will be a lot of reflection in what's really important and what lasts, right? To add a
Absolutely.
quote, Jeff Bezos says, what doesn't change in 5-10 years? I think that is something I'm always curious about. So
And as we bring Brian up, he's a visionary entrepreneur, a digital innovator. He's the founder of all the AI and Block Cities. He's recognized for his exceptional ability to merge technology to create groundbreaking solutions. It's right in our wheelhouse as we premiere this Optimize and Elevate to talk about these things. And I'm going to bring him up now and just kind of introduce him, and then I'll kind of talk about some items that I'd like to visit today. Hey, Brian, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Let's see. Can you guys see my video yet?
No,
There we
we haven't
go.
seen your video.
There we go. Yep, yep.
There you go.
Now
Now we're
okay,
live.
okay.
Perfect. Hey, thanks for joining
Awesome.
us. How are you today?
Yeah, doing great. Thanks for having me. I
Awesome.
appreciate it.
We wanted to highlight AI in our premiere event for Optimize and Elevate because I don't think that everybody understands what AI is. As a discussionary points, there's so much out there that people don't know, and there's so many different aspects of AI that I guess we don't understand. And I guess let me give you my perspective, and maybe Jake, you could give your perspective afterwards. But I guess overall, I look at AI, and although it's a trending topic, not a lot of people understand it. But it seems to me like there's some worry out there. There's some concern of where AI can take us and where it will take us or where it's going. And then you think about all the pieces and parts of what capabilities AI has. And there's so many functional items behind just the term artificial intelligence. There's generative AI, there's image generation, video generation, there's voice, there's knowledge management, there's multimodal. All of these things start getting confusing very quick. But in my mind, when I boil this thing down, it seems to me that artificial intelligence is a tool that is going out and scraping all this information out in the world, primarily on the World Wide Web, right? Um, and it's aggregating that data and slicing and dicing it as it learns to come back with a summarization of all of the content that it has consumed and decided, if you will, is the most appropriate to present to the person who has asked the question. Would that be kind of an accurate assessment, or am I off base there?
Yeah, I mean, I would say fairly accurate assessment. I mean, ultimately, these models are just kind of guessing the next word based off of the information that it's been fed, to begin with. And what we start to see is, especially when you are taking having to compete or join them together, they actually started using an approach more recently using kind of like synthetic information as well. That's just speeding things up even greater. But right now it's the Wild West, and I feel like these tools, we've reached the point where where now we can apply AI in so many different directions. Down to, the next couple of years, we will be decoding, the barks of dogs, and how animals communicate, and able to actually decipher that into actual language to understand what they're saying, which is mind blowing to me. And so these barriers, little by little, are being taken down, and we're not going to see this slow down, which is why, I can understand the concern about the pace and workers becoming obsolete. I read a statistic recently by someone that really comprehensive approach and look at are out there, and of the different tasks that each of those roles entail, what percentage of that job can actually just be outsourced to AI. And based off of current technology, not even having any additional progress, they estimated that right now we could basically outsource right around 45% of existing jobs to AI based off of today's technology. And so, I totally understand why that is a thought process that people have in terms of AI coming for our job. I think it'll be the ones that look at AI as, if I can leverage these tools in such a way that increases my capacity to produce results, whether it's a 2x or a 3x increase in efficiencies, that worker that understands how to harness the technologies that are available will leapfrog everyone. There's very much an opportunity right now to secure your job and where you stand, your ability to produce value, by embracing these tools and leveraging them, in such a way that adds value to your existing organization.
Those are great points. And, I also believe that harnessing this technology is not only daunting for just the regular individual, there's a learning curve to even understand where to go first when you think about AI. I mean, we're talking about products out there that have been there for a little while. ChatGPT, Claude, Bing, Jasper, Copy AI, AnyWord, Grammarly, WordTune, ProWriting. That's just in the generative AI area. And then we get into image with Dolly E3, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion. All of these things are, again, tools out there that are utilizing a very similar technology in AI. But from my perspective, I look at AI as this big, huge, I don't know, industry now, seems like, right? And as an AI industry, we know that there's these niche products that do certain things very, very well. I guess my question is why do we have so many focused products versus just one product that can give us everything? I mean, if AI is that great, why isn't it great at everything?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I imagine you'll have some of the giants that will very much be trying to position themselves in such a way where they are, your one-stop shop for everything. And that'll just come with a little bit the competition that's going on between Microsoft and players. But ultimately, right now, these tools are early enough on where the generative AI has definitely proven itself to be useful. And kind of the next wave that we'll see is very much using like multimodal.
You're breaking up on us a little bit there, Brian.
Able to piece them. Is that me?
Still breaking up a little bit.
Was that a?
So while Brian is getting his technology put back together, Jake, what's your take on AI?
Well, I think buzzwords are always really, really counterproductive in understanding what's really going on, right? I've seen this trend in business services where, like, Facebook ads, like if you were going to look in the tens, right? Like, 2010 to end it right up into the pandemic, right? Everyone and their dog was like, yeah, I'm, the expert at, this thing. I'm pragmatic. I'm whatever, right? The words always cycle, but the underlying truths don't. And so I think there's something in here, which is, when Brian says it's looking at the next word, right? Statistical decision making, running something off of what's the aggregate of the best, is always what technology is striving for. I think where, you ask, what's the one silver bullet? Why isn't there one? I think we're so far away from AGI just from a hardware standpoint, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I'll let
Brian, are
Brian
you
come.
back?
Let's. I'm loading myself as backup just in case I do need to switch over devices. But how do I sound?
A little bit better.
Can
A
you guys
little
hear me?
better.
Yeah, good.
Little? Okay. All right.
So again,
Let's see. I'm trying to pick up the.
I don't know where you started breaking up. You were in thought, and then I kind of interrupted with the breakup.
Yeah, so I was just saying right now, generative AI has proven itself to be useful, to where people can apply it in kind of day-to-day activities. Where I see things going very quickly is more of a multimodal approach, specifically using agents. And this is, really what I'm like heads down, A, testing out lots of different tools, and B, building out some very interesting use cases. But I see this being very much the future, where certain models what makes sense and other ones, it's appropriate. So an example would be open source LLMs. To me, needs to be a thing in the future. And there's only a couple companies that are out there really incentivized.
We lost you again, and that's one of my topic items is multimodal, and trying to get an understanding of what multimodal means to the audience. I know there's some products out there that claim they're multimodal. I don't know if they are or aren't. I haven't done a lot of investigation. I leave that to folks like you who are much smarter than me. Amelia, Core.ai, Avamo, OneReach, Cognigy. Those are just some to name a few that claim to be multimodal. What does it mean?
So really just being able to use other systems when it makes sense to. An open source LLM like Mistral when it makes sense to do that. Are you guys able to hear me?
You just came back stronger than ever. I hope it continues.
Oh, nice.
So you were mentioning Mistral. I don't have that on my
with
list.
my mobile here.
There.
Mistral.
So another area in that multimodal is conversational. I think that's another topic that, and I'm not sure what LLM stands for, but I'm hopeful we'll get you back and hear about LLM and what that means.
Yeah, give me just one moment. I'm going to switch my connections.
Sure.
Patch, I'm gonna play even dumber here, right? Than you've stated. Oh, I don't know much about multimodal. Let's say I know nothing about it. What's your understanding as a common person while we wait for Brian to take over?
That they're wrapping. My understanding, and it's limited, is that multimodal is one of those areas that I was talking about originally. When it's why does it take a specific focus product like a Jasper or an AnyWord or whatever, Grammarly, to do something specific in AI when AI generally is a learning tool? Why can't it learn to do everything, right? Where multimodal is more appropriate to going across those focal points, such as voice, image, video, and uh, words, writing, so to speak, right? And so that's my understanding. Again, I am not well versed in that, but in my limited research, that's what I kind of surmised.
Okay. So maybe the integration of DALL-E or image generation into ChatGPT, that's somewhat multimodal.
Right, right, right,
Okay.
right. That's and again, maybe Brian, if you're back, Brian, go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll bring you back up.
Um, Something that, you know, I've heard the argument on, and I think it makes a lot of sense, is AI will be good when no one pays any attention to it, when it's just as ubiquitous as Google Sheets or Excel, right? And like, I think that's actually a really profound statement, right? Like something like Excel was such a game changing technology, right? And now
Sure.
it's just like, oh yeah, it's just Excel. It's not the fanciest way to do it, but like that, like access and availability to put out formulas, things like that. And I think it's really exciting to see tools like that integrating with more diverse technologies that kind of help you sort and filter and make conclusions, right? Off of not the final conclusion, but some of those sub conclusions
Oh,
off of what
sure.
you
And
want.
so, Brian, we were just talking about multimodal as common folk here, trying to at least put a definition to it in our mind. Hopefully, you can put a better definition to multimodal and conversational AI and what it's all about, so that um, you can better define what that is.
Yeah. First off, you guys can hear me a little bit better now,
Yes, a
hopefully.
lot better, actually.
All right. Good, good, good. So yeah, multimodal just referring to being able to call on different systems within a workflow. So the way it works is there'll be some functions that, let's say, would make sense to only use OpenAI with. A good example of this is actually GPT Vision. So there's a system that I have where it'll pull up my browser and perform a web search. This is just my computer just operating by itself. And then it takes a picture of the screen to analyze that. It basically sends that picture to GPT Vision, analyzes it, and then it comes back and then it can do the next click or fill out the form. That's something that other models can't do that yet. And so it only makes sense to use GPT Vision under that scenario. You can have it set up though, where let's say after the result that OpenAI just produced, then once it talks to this agent is only going to use an open source model like a Mistral that we were talking about earlier, which will save you, quite a bit when it comes to token cost. And so being able to kind of like stitch these different LMs that are out there together, where you're calling on one when it makes sense to use that one, I love that concept, because it forces all of these competitors, to produce high quality results, and just kind of like in general that competitiveness means that the token cost is going to be something where it'll continue to get more inexpensive as time goes on. But being able to use an open source versus a closed source like OpenAI, I think is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I think that when we were talking about embracing AI and how it could take over our jobs, there's certainly concern there, and I understand the concern. I don't know that I agree with the concern, provided that folks are embracing it and harnessing it in the right ways. There's still decision points that human interaction is necessary in order to, I guess, present the best content or the best answers, because AI is not yet sentient, right? And it doesn't feel and it doesn't have the emotion. It's very straightforward, black and white, so to speak, and doesn't necessarily present that gray area that we're so great at as humans. Would you agree with that?
Patch, I got to stop you for a second, and then to Brian. you got to be careful what you say there, because you're like the guy kicking the Boston Dynamic robot there, right? They're watching you. They have feelings in the future.
Right, right, right.
Go on, Brian. Go on.
Yeah, and their feelings are hurt.
Oh my.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, man, Boston Dynamics is crazy. Some of the stuff that those little guys are doing. It's a little scary seeing them, just marching in a row and doing their backflips and stuff. But
Right, right.
anyway, but no, I think as these technologies progress, something that naturally will continue to be more and more of a thing is authenticity being valued, and connection being valued more and more. The things that AI cannot replace, And so I feel like that's something where, as technology advances, people will start to crave that more and more. As compared to our social media feeds, being inundated with people's automated posts and fake images and et cetera. I feel like there's definitely plus sides of these technologies, but at the same time, being able to stay somewhat grounded and recognizing where authentic connections will continue to play a role in valuing that is definitely going to be a thing.
You know what I just heard you say was Mingle was in the sweet spot. That's
Yeah.
all that came out of that.
Yep. That's a great way to look at it. I totally agree.
Do you think
fantastic.
that the word AI in that case could be replaced by something like information, and that still holds true?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for the most part, I feel like, in general, the more difficult that these things are to decipher, real from fake, which is really quickly, coming our way. Just images alone, it's crazy the amount of potential propaganda and potential, security threats and whatnot. But with that, people that are being maybe more vulnerable, or showing their human side, that's something that people will resonate with more and more, I feel like, in the future, because there's almost going to be a craving because of the lack thereof, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Certainly. So as we look at, we've kind of discussed AI in general. We've thrown some products out there. We've thrown a couple use cases. Tell us about you, how you're utilizing it, how you're applying it to the business world today.
Yeah, good question. So right now, my focus is definitely on agent frameworks. And basically what I've built out is it's an agency that's able to create other agencies. And so what that means is there's ultimately one agent that's able to create another agency that has multiple members, and each agent is equipped with three things, and that is knowledge, instructions, and tools. And with those three things, it can go out and accomplish tasks. And so each agent, when they come together and they can pass information from one agent to another agent and basically collaborate and work together, and then submit their final work to, maybe a manager agent that then submits it to me, that's a very interesting application of, using these tools, which will only get easier and easier and more capable with time. OpenAI, is very, very much focused on building out, different things as it relates to agents. And so this, kind of the foundational groundwork that I'm putting in right now will only grow in its capabilities in years to come. And so anyway, that's kind of my personal focus right now. But, specifically on the business front, typically where these things can be applied in really interesting ways is, number one, data, and being able to acquire data, scrape data, aggregate it, and then make sense of that data, and then being able to create, a workflow, specifically, lead generation being one of them, But sales and marketing is one of the lower hanging fruits of this technology right now. And one of the things that we're just barely starting to see, which I think will be an interesting use case, to say the least, is phone calls. Where you can actually have an AI agent making those calls for you instead of a call center. I think that's a great application for some uses. You'll never want to do that necessarily for like a high value client, but when it comes to like maybe initial prospecting, especially if it's like lower quality leads that your sales team is reaching out to, rather than burning them out and ruining the morale within an office, being able to just simply outsource that to an AI framework, I think that that's a pretty interesting use case for sure.
So, as a longtime sales individual, both as a producer, manager, director, a VP, and now CRO, I look at that and I say, okay, wait a minute, when do I put my salespeople to work, right? And really the salespeople are saying, I don't want to do those tasks. I want to go and meet people and sign deals. That's what I'm good at.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing you say is that the application of AI in the sales and marketing arena is doing the tasking that other people don't want to do anyway.
Yep. Yeah, totally. And really, this encompasses many different departments as well, because you've got the person that's on the phone, but then you also have the person that was putting together the content and the copyright to get in front of them to then produce the lead itself. And you've got your Facebook managers or video editors that are producing, the ads that are being displayed, down to the person identifying, the customer that you're trying to target to begin with. And so there's lots of efficiencies that this whole process can minimize the amount of time and energy that a human has to put into it, and can ultimately spin up different scenarios and be able to come up with at least your A and B testing, a lot quicker than if you're to have, human energy behind it.
Absolutely. So I'm also hearing that the writers of the Jetsons they were dead on from the 70s, right? I mean, we're now in a George Jetson world where we're going to push buttons or clicks in our case, right? We don't even have buttons anymore.
Yeah. So there's this system, and I haven't even told Jeff this, who actually just showed up here. But there's a system that I'm actually really grateful is perfectly compatible with the infrastructure that I've been building, where it's this little ball and you push a button and you can ask this ball to do something, and it can literally take over your computer at home and pull up your files, create an email, attach a file to an email, send it to whoever you want, or kick off this new marketing sequence. But you can control things right from this little ball that's able to actually complete work on your computer while you're out and about, which is fascinating to me.
So
sure.
that's soon to be your watch, right?
Yep.
That's good stuff. Yep. That's great stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, so okay, so we've talked a little bit about how we apply it in business and tasking in business, and it's understandable how AI can take or offload some of those menial tasks that we don't want to do, right? But on the other hand, how do we utilize it in our personal business, right? Our personal lives. How is it going to apply to us in a day-to-day walk of life?
Yeah, good question. I mean, it comes down to what you're asking it for. And this is like one of my, bigger takeaways is, and this is maybe getting a little bit more like ethereal or whatever than what I may have attended. But when it comes to like the future and our Earth's trajectory, 100% is going to come down to the quality of the questions that we're asking of it. And ultimately, everything that we see in our world in the future is just going to be a mirror of the amount of time and energy that people took to ask these certain questions. And so when it comes to, just day-to-day life, I mean, that could be something as simple as, put together a 7-day meal prep plan for me, so that I don't have to be thinking about things, where it's based off of my current health goals, or maybe it's I don't know. Scheduling for someone. Maybe they're going to college and being able to pull up, a system of all the applications and being able to, fine tune that process a little bit more efficiently. Down to obviously everyday work related things. To me, it's a matter of when you take the information, you put it into the pot, and then you can query that system. There's a lot of insight and value that you can derive from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. I can see that for sure. And so, one of the things that has aligned us previously and why we do business with all the AI is your focal point in community building. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, and I feel like this is something that was maybe amplified, at least for me personally, with the pandemic. Was, when we came out of that, I feel like myself and everyone else I saw around me was, hungry for connection, just to be able to go back out and meet with people in person, face to face. And I feel like there's something about bringing people together, that you allow for new relationships to form, whether new partnerships, friendships, anything else. And part of this is honestly, I had a friend that he's got a coffee shop in Salt Lake where every Sunday, I think he held like a little open mic night, and he's done this for many years. And, it's been interesting to see, like, there's been tons of really, really good friendships that have formed as a result, or new bands that have formed as a result. And the same thing holds true when you're bringing people together in a community, and allowing them to connect, in different ways. I feel like that sets the stage for, a ripple effect that, maybe a little bit harder to gauge or fully understand, but is a positive thing, in either case.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I look at there's a couple things that resonated with your explanations in our discussion today. And when we talk about people leaning more into that authentic connection, and where they get that, not only from a person to person perspective, but a group perspective, and being able to give back and being able to contribute in a meaningful way. I see community as a huge opportunity for people to get involved and really engage, with their free time that AI is going to give them, right?
Yep. That's right. I mean, and that's my hope is, ultimately these tools should free up some time and energy to allow us to do the things that matter more, and so, I hope to see a world that reflects that, where people are able to pursue their passions and create things that maybe they wouldn't have been able to otherwise, because they would have been just stuck in the standard, 9 to 5 rigmarole. But we'll see.
You were
Wow,
definitely a future.
that's a paradigm
Yeah.
shift right there. Getting out of the 9 to 5 mentality, right?
Yeah.
So if we think
Yeah.
about that, I saw a map. It was interesting. I was perusing and found a series of interesting maps. I think there were, I don't know, 25 or 30 of them. One of those things, it was a rabbit hole that I accidentally clicked into and found interesting. But there was actually a graphic over the United States of which states had the most couch potatoes, right?
Yeah.
So if AI is going to give us all this free time, this map was kind of describing what portions of the United States would be then taking that opportunity to lay on the couch as opposed to go out and do something meaningful. We here at Optimize and Elevate recommend engaging and getting into the community and utilizing that time more productively for betterment of your fellow man, if you will.
Yep. No, totally. Out of curiosity, who was at the top of the list of the states? You remember?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I remember it was right down the middle of the western part, so the least populated states. And I don't think I have to name them, but Kansas was not in one of them, and I can also share that Utah was not in one of them. So
Nice.
somewhere in between there.
Okay. Fair. Fair.
Right, but you got to think about it. There's probably some weather concerns that
Yep.
fall into that, and there's some outside elements that probably contribute to that map
Yep.
graphic.
Well, and I think like infrastructure is such a key thing to what people do and how they spend their time. Um, Brian, you've worked on other startups outside of your AI projects. I think Block Cities is a little bit different, but you've thought a lot about how we live and how we do things. When you talked about that ball, it shifted my mind back to the hip product this last January of like all the tech shows was the rabbit and the humane device where they're focusing on people just talking into them. And I think they're early devices. I think a lot of uh, room for robustness and functionality still there. But that's a way a lot of people are thinking right now. It seems like you're kind of keeping up with the trends there.
Yeah,
Um,
trying to for sure. For
what
sure.
what else would you want people to know? Go on.
Oh man. It's a good question.
Yeah, just
Well,
next
I know
So
six
you're
months.
doing some work in Puerto Rico. You just got back from Puerto Rico a little bit ago, right?
yeah, yeah, I did. It was a pretty cool project I was going down there for. So back in 2017, I set up a nonprofit with my co-founder Evan down there, just not too long after Hurricane Maria hit. And this last trip was interesting. Evan did a great job of lining up one of the more notable artists that have come out of Puerto Rico, uh, called Don Rymix, and basically what we were doing is revitalizing a community space where he came in and did. It was like a month long mural kind of build out where he was basically incorporating the local community, specifically the youth, and brought this neighborhood together in one of the worst areas of Puerto Rico, honestly. And basically revitalized this building and put in a whole bunch of different programs there, and it was awesome to watch. So yeah, just got back from that, and that was a really cool experience for sure.
That's great stuff. That's great stuff. Well, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping here. Where can people reach out to you? Where can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so check out all the AI, which is all the dot AI. You can also email me if you want, Brian at all the AI. But would love to chat. Right now we're partnering with organizations, just like Mingle, to be able to build out some really interesting use cases. And so if you feel like you've got a company that can benefit massively from AI, which is most of them, love to chat about what that looks like for your company specifically.
Well, Brian, what you're doing for Mingle is, it's admirable. It's great to learn, to sit in on, to understand, to be a part of this new wave of technology. I think we're excited for outcomes, and we'll report back. Hopefully, we can have you back on here in a few weeks and give results of what your efforts have provided. We certainly appreciate your time today, and just want to let you know that, again, it doesn't go unnoticed that the work that you're putting in here, and you rock. And
Awesome.
anybody that is seeing Optimize and Elevate as a Minglecast, please reach out to Brian. If you need to, you can get a hold of Jake or I. At this time, I'm going to stop the recording, and you all can visit us at miingl.com, or you can see this recording at YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Just search out Mingle, MIINGL, Noe, and we'll be having another Optimize and Elevate session, Minglecast, 2 weeks, is that
2 weeks,
right?
2 weeks out. Guests will be announced soon.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Look for us, and we look forward to us joining it.